Morning, everyone. Thanks for having me. Thank you, Jono, for recommending me as well. It's a real privilege. I'm glad actually that you'd heard of the Harvest Table, because it'd be a little bit embarrassing if my intro said a leading health and wellness brand and no one had put their hand up. So thank you for that support. So when we chatted about today, I kind of said to Darren, what sort of things should I share on? I can obviously share my story. Is that interesting to people who are already entrepreneurs? Because, a lot of you are already in that space. And he said he thought it would be, and I just really trust that as I share my story, I'm actually really trusting today that there's some dreams that are sitting in this room that you've forgotten about. And I'm trusting that God's going to ignite some dreams in this building today, and He's going to give you courage, because I think to be an entrepreneur takes courage. You have to be brave, and sometimes you've got to be reminded that no matter the economic climate, no matter what's happening in Europe, actually those dreams have been put in your heart for a reason, and maybe now is the time to start thinking as you're doing your goals for your next quarter, how can I start igniting something that's been sitting dormant? So that's what I hope you get out of today. I'm going to share my story, and then obviously at the end, I'm hoping you've got some questions, and maybe that discussion will also help bring some of that out. So I was raised in Hillcrest. I lived here just over there in Marion Road most of my life, and I went to St. Mary's. I'm an only child, and my parents were both entrepreneurs. So my dad ran a automotive business, so he made truck and trailer lights, very thrilling, but he did very well. And he okay, let me get back to that later on. So my mom actually, they raised exotic parrots, as one does. So they realized they had these babies, and birds aren't always very good at raising children. So they would take the little babies away, or they would my dad actually created incubators. So he would, incubate the eggs, and then the babies would be born, and then they'd feed them pro nutro, and then they'd die. So they realized pro nutro wasn't a good option. So they found a food in America, and they actually brought that in. Now, is this not how a lot of businesses start? You see a need in your own life, and you fulfill that need. And so they started bringing in, of all things, hand-raising formula for parrots from America. And my mom actually built quite a good business out of this. So my dad's business is quite busy, so she kind of looked after that. And then they added treats and snacks. I don't know if anyone's heard of the KT range, if anyone's into birds. Anyway, you might have heard of it. And so she did that for many years. And when they got divorced, she got the little baby business, and my dad took the bigger business. And I watched the way that they ran those, and the way that God honored my mom, and the way that she honored people and was so generous and took every problem to Him. And I just saw this kind of this river flow through her. And her business did really well. And actually, when she eventually sold that business, it was way bigger than my dad's business was at that time. He had a different heart. I could see as he got older, he got fearful. He didn't want to take opportunity. He closed his hands. There was no generosity. And I saw what that did to his business. So I grew up in that environment with these two entrepreneurs, very, very different personalities. And I would often have ideas myself, and I'd go to my dad, who was, it seemed in my mind was the real entrepreneur. Like, I think he only did school till standard 7, and he just had this flair. And every idea I took to him, he was like, no, never, no, not going to work, useless, terrible, no. So eventually I thought, okay, well, that is not my path in life. I decided I wanted to be a CA. For some reason, my mom had done bookkeeping for a season, and Balsey, Button and Perry, or whatever it was, it ended up being Deloitte. And so I was like, I'm just going to go to Deloitte. And I'd always excelled in life, and so I just assumed I would be a manager and a partner, and that was my life. And so I went to Deloitte after school, and actually in my second year, let me go back a bit. My second year varsity, so I went to study to be a CA. At the end of my second year, I hadn't been feeling great for that year. Tired, just kind of this unexplained, I'd been from doctor to doctor, and they just said, eventually the last doctor I went to said, it's all in your head, you should really eat more meat and sleep more. And I was like, that is not helpful, but anyway. And I just thought, I'm actually not accepting this, but I kind of went on this own journey then of trying to discover what could I do for my own health to feel better, because no one else was helping me. And actually, by the end of my second year varsity, I didn't feel too bad. My energy had improved. I'd really worked on the way I was eating and the way I was feeding into my health. And actually, I then discovered I had Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a lymph cancer. And so I actually wonder what the outcome would have been if I hadn't done all that work. And that was a real pivotal moment, actually, if I think, for me in my life. I had radiation therapy. It's kind of, you go to a doctor, they do radiation. It was like kind of a very responsive kind of cancer. So kind of the radiation worked really well and quickly. And then the oncologist says, off you go, you are healed, and you feel worse than you did before, and off you go. And that really then started this learning journey for me of actually, how did I get here in the first place, and what can I do to improve my health going forward? So I go back to varsity. I'm now still on my CA track. I ended up doing an extra year at varsity just because I wasn't sure how I was going to feel after radiation, so I did an extra year with an honours major in economics. Went to Deloitte, and actually my season at Deloitte didn't go well. So it was the first time in my life that I actually didn't excel. I hated auditing. I don't think I had the perspective actually of, like, now my son wants to be a CA, and I'm like, oh, there's so much opportunity if you go and do auditing. At the time, I just didn't see it. And actually, I think that was part of what was meant for my life. If I'd excelled there, I wouldn't be where I am today. And so I kind of ended my 3 years, like slunk out the side door, and ended up having applied for a job with a recruitment agent who had not seen my CV for that application, and then had another job come up and was like, oh, the CV. He was like, you phoned. He said, I totally missed it for the job you applied for, but this one is like for you. And that was a job as a financial manager at the Unlimited, and that's where I got to meet all the market guys. So I went through to work at the Unlimited, started as a financial accountant, financial manager, head of finance, and as happens often in finance teams, you start acquiring all the other departments that no one else wants to deal with, that I give them to finance. So by the end of my time there, I was there for about 10 years, I ran claims and facilities, and any person that they also didn't know what to do with, if there was if performance management had been mentioned, it was followed by, why don't you send them to Kath? And Kath will deal with them. And I either will turn you around or very lovingly show you the door. So I had this amazing opportunity to just learn and grow. And I got to the end of that season, very busy, a corporate season, and I just thought, this is not filling my bucket. And I actually realized I still had this yearning to start my own business. I still had my dad's voice in my head, not going to work, this isn't going to work, isn't going to work, but I still wanted to start my own thing. And you sit and you go, well, could I do this, could I do this, could I do this? And just nothing seemed to be resonating. In this time, though, we had actually started a little business called In the Pink. We sell allergy or low allergy breads, like cauliflower bread and things like that. So some of you might know that business. And it was like I see I have some fans over there. Hallelujah. So this business actually really was, we did love to travel, and so it just was like a nice little fund for that, and just something that we'd also started because we wanted that product for our own family. And I didn't have full control over that business. We still run, and we still don't have full control. We have a bakery that bakes for us in Joburg, and I just felt like, you just never know if you don't have full control. I really should start something else as a little sideline, just in case things don't go well within the Pink. And so I had been researching health, and I came across actually bone broth. Bone broth was what started it. So anyone who's been on a health journey, if you've had any gut issues, you might have heard about bone broth. And it is what the name suggests. You boil bones for hours until your whole house smells of bones, and then you throw the bones away and you drink the broth, and it's revolting. Okay, the fat's on top and it's revolting. And I was like, I can't, this may be good for me, but I can't do this. And I found an organic bone broth powder from Sweden, and I thought this is much better. Okay, put it in a smoothie, this I can do. And we started bringing this product in for ourselves, as well as a beautiful granulated collagen. I thought all collagen was the same, but apparently not. This was just a really good quality product. And friends started asking about it, and then usual story, we're selling to a few friends, packaging in our home and that kind of thing. And I thought, actually, I think this is the sideline hustle, okay, that I've been waiting for. So this is my little nest egg on the side. I was still working as an accountant. I'd actually left the Unlimited. I kind of dotted around. I worked at Winston Park Primary for a bit as the bursar. I worked at City Hill Church for a bit. I actually built an external events business for them, renting out their building so that they could cover the cost of running the building through an external income. I worked at a physio practice, but I wasn't finding my home. So while I was working at the physio practice, this business started growing, and I suddenly realized that I had all these skills and passions that I hadn't realized before. So suddenly, like when you start a business, you are everything, okay? You are the marketer and the HR person and everything. And so if we needed Google ads or anything done, I was learning how to do everything. So we worked with a graphic designer, we designed a logo, and you kind of started this little Instagram, Facebook page, started doing some ads and building a little bit of traction. And then something really cool happened as I applied to have our product listed in Wellness Warehouse and Faithful to Nature. And we were accepted in both places, which apparently is not common or easy to do. I don't know what it was about our brand. I think the fact that we packaged in glass, it looked different. There was just something about the feel that we were creating on Instagram. And so it got accepted, and at the time my husband was working at what is now one of our factories in Pinetown. My dad had owned these factories, and when he passed away, he'd left us 2 of the units and the business, the now dying business that was in there. And Sam, actually, he's a quantity surveyor. He thought this is actually a good opportunity. He wants to go on his own. He will look after this little business, start doing his own thing, and now look after my new little side hustle. So I wasn't even working in my own business. I was still working as an accountant. And he phoned me one day at the beginning of 2020, and he said, "You have to resign. I can't do this anymore." Suddenly we were getting orders for pallets of product, and people who were actually meant to be making truck lights were packing collagen bottles, and it was not going to work. And so I did. I resigned, and I joined my own business on the 1st of March 2020. What a good month to join your own business. What fun. And then we had probably maybe like 5 of us by then. We gathered some people, some people who like, we don't need you making truck lights all the time. Our collagen person, the person who was distributing that stuff was also, anyway, there were like 5 of us. And COVID hits, and we all went home. And I thought, I'm going to learn how to bake. And I just had these visions. I was like, actually, I'm going to back this thing. I'm going to spend however many weeks we have to be at home just like learning new skills. And then we actually realized if you were in food, you could keep operating. And we kind of sent all our staff home, and they were like, hang on a second. Everyone come back. Because not only suddenly did everyone want in the pink bread, okay, but everyone wanted collagen, and they all wanted to order on our website. And so I think our sales grew 10 times in a month. We suddenly were hiring people, adding to our building. We were in one factory unit, so at the back of the unit we had truck lights, then down the side we had bird food, and then in the boardroom, which is now our boardroom, we made collagen. Okay, it was all happening. We brought everyone back. And I felt God say to me then, in this season, you're going to be a river and not a dam. So you're not going to be afraid. You're going to spend that money into the economy in my little way, and we are going to do our bit to keep things moving forward. And so we employed people. Our staff, I think, went from like 5 to 20 over that time. We managed to actually sell the bird food business because we just needed more space. And yeah, we started growing largely through our own online sales. And then crazy things started happening. Checkers came to us and said, you're creating waves in the health market. We want you. We want you everywhere. Our CEO, the CEO of Checkers, has seen your brand and he wants you everywhere, and you have to be there by this date. Give me your top 10 SKUs. And we want to put you in, I don't know, whatever the A and B stores were. So, yeah, suddenly it just takes you to the next level, because now you're starting to talk food safety. It's not just like I pack in the boardroom. You know, we actually live in Cotswolds, and we've lived here for quite a long time. And we've got this long veranda, and it kind of got to a point where I'd wake up in the morning and I'd literally feel God say to me, these are your next 3 products, and here are the recipes. And I'd write them out and I'd trial them, and I'm like, oh, it's actually quite nice. So we do, say, for example, collagen hot chocolate, a turmeric latte. So we introduced like a whole drinks range, but now you have to mix these things. And we didn't have a mixing machine, so we put all the ingredients in every bottle, and then the whole family down the line on the outdoor table on the veranda would shake. Do you know, I got such tennis elbow, because this is how it's been my evenings, shaking. So I'm very sorry if you used to buy product then, because I'm sure it was not well mixed. Okay, that's where we started. Now you want to be in Checkers, you've suddenly got to have food safety. You know, it was bringing people on board who had that skill and understood, and putting proper production lines in place. And so we've gone from shaking our own product on the dining room table to an internationally standard food grade facility. We started in our boardroom in one of our factories. We're now in 5 units, I think, 5 or 6 units. We are building our own custom built facility in Maxmead. Our product can now be found in Wellness Warehouse and Faithful to Nature, Checkers, Clicks, Dis-Chem, and Woolworths. And the remarkable thing about Woolworths, like for me, that was really the standard if I can get into Woolworths. I have been told on occasion that I am like a dripping tap, and it pays off sometimes, because sometimes you just wear people down and they just can't bear it anymore, and they're like, just bring your product and put it in the shop. And so trying to find a buyer firstly is a challenge, but trying to figure out who the right buyer is at that place, and then eventually through someone who knew someone, we found the right person, and they said to me, you will never be listed in Woolworths as your own brand name. We only list household names. And so the day that our product went onto that shelf as the harvest table was a really big moment for our team. And that's why I say I want to encourage you today, because I think if I look at what we have done, how have we ended up in this place? There's been favor on this business that I cannot explain to you, but also there's been a perseverance, and I've not done things the way that other people necessarily would have done them, and I'm okay with that. It's been okay. So I've often had people say, you can't do that. You can't. So One Day Only is still one of our biggest customers, and if you don't know One Day Only, they send out an email every morning and there's a deal of the day, and so we are on there quite often. And we actually created pack sizes just for them. So it's called a loading kit. So we sell collagen in various size bottles. Our biggest bottle, we sell 2 of those together on One Day Only, and then you can, for 3 months, you can double up your dose, and it's obviously it's really good. Your body uses all of those amino acids and rapidly goes and fixes things, and people feel great. So we created that product just for them, and we still do probably, I don't know, anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million a month on One Day Only. And we sell in Woolworths and Checkers and Clicks and Dis-Chem, and we have people say to us, you're going to ruin your business by doing this. And we haven't. Because we have, firstly, I have not through, I've hopefully through wisdom and not just through arrogance, said, I'm not going to listen to you. But actually, I really strongly believe in something. We've forged our way forward, and we haven't done things according to the status quo always. So I just want to really encourage you with that firstly, but then secondly to say, if there are dreams that you think are unachievable, I'm telling you now that if that dream has been placed in your heart and you've tested that and you know that this is really something for you, that you will be amazed at the way doors can open for that thing. You just have to step forward in faith. And we would have the most ridiculous things happen along our way. So I said we started in one factory space. So we actually had, I think my parents owned 4, and then my dad sold 1 before he died, and then my mom sold another one, and so we ended up with 2. We were now in the one building, she was renting out the other building to someone else. And I would say, and I used to actually say it out loud, because sometimes people won't believe you. If you're like, I thought that, and then it happened. So I'd actually say it, because then when it actually happened, people would be like, oh, I'm worried. So I'd say, for example, oh gosh, like I really wish that tenant would move out, because then, even though it was, my mom owned the building, but they obviously had a lease signed, we really need that space. And then half an hour later, my mom would phone and say, oh, our tenants just phoned, and they really would love to be released earlier from the lease. Would you like to take it over? Yes. How quickly can you get them out? Then one of the factories she'd sold, we thought, we're never getting this back. These people they're so happy in the space. And then same thing. We obviously had the looting, which was a terrible thing, but for them, they wanted to move to the Cape. So we didn't know this. So again, one day I say to Sam's walking past my desk, and I'm like, I really want Unit 3. Like, we need it. We need that space. He comes back literally half an hour later, and he's like, you won't believe it. I'm like, no, I will. They've just phoned. They want to sell it back to us. They're moving to the Cape. Like, how quickly can we make this happen? Time and time again, when you're in the right space and you are brave in that space, we've just seen these miracles happen that have really allowed us to get to where we are today. So yeah, I said we started with 5 staff. We're now actually I think we're about to employ number 65. We have got many consultants also that work with us. And what an awesome opportunity to create employment. We've always said if we can employ a person rather than a machine, we will do that. And so sometimes we feel like we're a people management business, but anyway, it's all good. We love our people. We really have gone after that in a strong way. We've built up a really strong leadership team. And also in terms of that team, I've gathered people with me along my journey, and people have said to me, you can't work with friends, you can't do it. And we've learned some lessons along the way, but we've actually just built a remarkable leadership team of people that I've gathered with me from the Unlimited. I've got some people who've come from City Hill. It's like a beautiful, dynamic environment. We work really hard on our culture. We work really hard on bringing our team with us and for them to feel that they are part of this business. I work hard, and I expect my team to work hard, but they are rewarded for that. And so for us, it's been really important to make sure that we have profit sharing arrangements, whatever those arrangements are, especially for our management team, so that as they run hard with us, that they benefit from that same growth. I said to my team at the beginning of the year, this is the year I'm running into the unprecedented favor of God. If you don't have the energy to keep up with me, I'm telling you now, this is your opportunity. You're either on this bus or you're not. And they chose to be in. So I just encourage you, as you set your goals today and you go after big things, when you look at your goals, is there one that you can set that scares you? One that you can set that's going to stretch you? And when you do that, share that with your team and let them come with you and let them back and support you. And that's been one of the best things that we've done. I am as transparent to my team as to anyone. I am the same at home. I am the same in the workplace. And that has really paid off for us because we have a team who are fully invested and are going to grow with us. When I set my goal for the year, I then said, for some unknown reason, I thought, I'm going to get emails back that are going to say these words. That's unprecedented. Wow, I can't believe it, unprecedented. Like, actually, I'm testing this vision for the year. By the end of January, we, as Jared mentioned, we've just launched on Amazon in the US. If you know anyone in the US who would love to buy a product on Amazon, we'd really appreciate it, because we need to bump ourselves up a few places on that list. And we had issues getting something cleared when it arrived, and it was we knew it would get clear, but it was like a very time-consuming thing, and something got fixed really quickly. And the guy in America receiving, who's just from a very different planet to us, but he emailed back, and Sam came and he was like, you won't believe this email. His words were, this was before the end of January, wow, unprecedented. And I was like, thank you, I take that. I've already received one. So yes, we're running into the unprecedented favour and trusting for big things. You know, I was saying to Darren before, I think especially I travel quite a lot and I use that as times to really dream, and that really is my the space that I've had to now create for myself. Let go, let my leadership team run things and be the one who's creating the new vision. And often my husband will say, like, can we just like sit still for a bit? But actually no, we're called to new things. We're called to employ new people. We are called to take new ground. We are called to be an amazing South African brand in America. Why not? Why not? We're called to manufacture that product in South Africa with a South African workforce and ship it to America to be sold there, rather than just getting someone to package there. Because that's what I believe, that's my passion. If you've forgotten what your passion is today, I encourage you, as you take time to set your goals, go back. What is the thing that drives me? Why am I doing this? And then set your goals from that place, and then go after those strong. So just to end off by saying, I think when you think about how you are operating in your workspace, there's some things for me that have been really important foundational items. I think the first is that for me, God is my anchor, and you need to look at what that is for you. And so that is like really my centering. Like I talk to God all the time. I use him like as my chairman. Sometimes being an entrepreneur is a really lonely journey, and it's taken me quite a long time to realize that actually I am the best person to run my own business. I used to think that I was not the best person. I probably needed to employ someone really great to come and run my business, and we tried that once or twice and it didn't work. It took me time to actually realize that my team needed my energy, and actually I was the one who needed to do that. And sometimes it can be lonely at the top. And so I know that I've got a line of direct contact that is what keeps me centered and keeps me going and keeps us on track. My second circle around that is that I have then got people that I will call on and I'll be able to talk to, and you know, when crisis hits. And they don't have to be business people, and they don't have to understand your business. But if you're feeling lonely on your road or tired on your road, who's that community of people that you can bring around yourself? I know that I can talk to Hutch, even on a Sunday. Hey Hutch, just like a check-in if I need. I've got someone who's a supplier of ours who's in Joburg, who's become a friend, who runs his own business bigger than ours, bigger problems. I can check in with him. We've got friends who run a church in Joburg. They are really close and important to us. We check in with them, and they get to check in with us on their issues, and we're completely neutral because we're not part of their church. And so just that works well. Find your people. And I think when you've got those things in place, then your third ring is, then you can influence your staff and your community well, because you're getting what you need from a solid core. So I hope that is helpful.